In 2005, when I completed my transfer clergy program to the Metropolitan Community Church from Soul Winners Christian Ministries, I decided to go to Nigeria. But before I went to Nigeria, in January 2006, the Nigerian government introduced what is called the Same-Sex Prohibition Bill. This bill is an attempt to criminalize same-sex union in Nigeria. Now, the backdrop to this bill was a result of Bishop Gene Robinson from New Hampshire, USA, in 2003, that was ordained a bishop. And he was openly gay, living with his partner of over 2 decades. Unfortunately, the Nigerian church was against this. And they decided that they were going to support the government, to push a bill that would criminalize same-sex union in Nigeria. At that time, I was still in the UK. But I think that, people will have said to me that, well, knowing that, you shouldn't have gone to Nigeria. But I felt compelled that these are the same reasons why I need to go to Nigeria, because we have done an incredible feasibility studies about the need for our mission. When I arrived in Nigeria, our intention was not to challenge the political arena. Our intention was to help people at grassroots on their journey, privately and also sufficiently. But unfortunately, before the end of 2006, we had a visiting reporter from Wall Street Journal in New York, in Nigeria, who was so impressed with our ministry that he decided to write about it. So early January 2007, the headlines in New York was Bill Divides Family. It was a story about myself and my father, being divided over this alleged bill. And unfortunately, in February of 2007, the Nigerian parliament decided to have a public debate around this bill. So I was called upon to attend this debate. And I was privy to give a statement. In fact, I was the first person to give a statement to say that we are against this bill. But unfortunately, the Nigerian situation was so hostile that there were fundamentalists in the parliament at the time who were totally against us. So immediately I knew that we've taken on something that is going to be really, really difficult. I believe that from February 2007, the Nigerian media have been on my tail in Nigeria and wherever I go. But we carried on, we soldiered on. Of course, it wasn't any easier for sexual minorities in Nigeria, knowing that there is a bill that is likely to become law. So we pressurized the government through our activism. And I always say to people that I didn't go to Nigeria as an activist. I went to Nigeria as a missionary. Even though our focus and our primary ministry is to sexual minorities who have been ostracized from the religious communities. But I didn't feel that I could do the job well as a missionary to this community without challenging the injustices towards them. So we did a good job. After our first anniversary, we worked towards our second anniversary in 2008. In 2008, September 2008, just before September 2008, we were preparing for anniversary. And of course, the Nigerian media got so interested in what we have to do, and they started to write extremely bizarre stories. The headlines were ridiculous. But we also found out that, prior to our anniversary, there have been people who have actually joined our church community who were undercover journalists. So they have taken photographs, they have recorded, our sermons on their mobile phones, they had audio recording of our messages, and, everything that they recorded were later twisted and, and published in the most negative way. Unfortunately, my home address and our worship space was actually published in the Nigerian media, which made it extremely dangerous for us. And unfortunately, mid-September, I had to leave Nigeria back to England with the clothes on my back. What actually triggered it off was that the weekend before I left, There were marathon newspaper coverage across the nation with my photograph on the front page, and the stories were just so harsh. They also threatened to kill us if we meet, because now they have our address. And of course, as a leader, indeed, as a leader that has great concerns for people, I decided that we cannot meet under the circumstances of the threat. So we dispersed everyone safely to their homes and made sure that we accounted for every single person through the coming days. I left Nigeria for the UK, like I said, with the clothes on my back, and I arrived in the UK only to be challenged by a customs officer about my luggage, and I said I didn't have any luggage because I was fleeing Nigeria. Now that I was safe in the UK, I started to respond back to the issues in Nigeria. Unfortunately, my father got caught in the crossfire as well. He challenged the Nigerian media, and I believe around about October, November 2008, he had a press conference with over 200 journalists from across Nigeria, and indeed some from outside of Nigeria, who were extremely interested in these stories. Some of the headlines range from "Homosexuals must die," "Gay pastor on the run," "We will not succumb to homosexuality." The headlines were bizarre. "Inside Lagos church turned upside down," and the first look inside the homosexual church, the evil church. The headlines were just so ridiculous. Unfortunately, some of our members also got caught as well in this fracas, because some of them were really beaten up in the streets. Some of them suffered violence in the streets of Nigeria. But thankfully, no one died in this incident. And I think that, the reason that I actually left Nigeria is because I was much more concerned for the safety of the people in Nigeria. Recently, we celebrated 4 years of the anniversary in Nigeria. And I'm extremely delighted that we didn't shut down the entire mission. But what we did in Nigeria was that we looked at a new way, a different way to do our ministry. And thankfully, the internet was our base. So rather than meet in person in Nigeria, we launched an internet project. We have nearly 600 people on a single interactive website. On our Facebook page alone, we have nearly 2,000 people. On other places, we have hundreds and hundreds of people who have joined us online. And we are actually ministering now to people in over 50 countries. I am extremely delighted because this is the work of God and of the Holy Spirit. But of course, people in places like Nigeria still live in fear every day, just because of who they are and because they want to be able to profess their Christian faith. Many people have contacted me from Kenya, from Uganda, Rwanda, the Congo, from Malawi, expressing the need to connect with God and be able to reconcile their sexuality and their spirituality. It is my hope that we will be able to go to all these places and meet all these people as well and be able to help them on their journey to reconcile, their God-given sexuality with their God. Unfortunately, since leaving Nigeria, there has been other disasters in Nigeria. People lost their jobs. People were evicted from their homes. And in 2008, in December 2008, the Nigerian politicians introduced a new bill called the Same Gender Prohibition Bill, 2008. In March 2009, there was a public debate in Nigeria over this bill. I was also instrumental in contributing to the text that goes against this bill, that rejects this bill, from my home in England. And it was important for me that, we're able to do this because I cannot lay low in any way at all. So I'm continually working and I'm continually responding to the people in Nigeria. We'll continue to look for ways to support the work in that country. And to me, that's very, very important. And also, this year, 2010, we started House of Rainbow in London because we felt that it was important, not just for the people in Nigeria, but also for people of African descent who are based in the city of London. So we started House of Rainbow Fellowship with prayer and praise in my home. We started in March. It's a monthly meeting, and we started with just 7 people. And today, we have over 30 people that attend our programs. And I think I'm extremely delighted that it's actually going well. We have a good relationship with the Metropolitan Community Church of East London, which is a local ministry in Tower Hamlet. Currently, we are meeting in Waltham Forest, which is the area in which I live. And to me, this is very key. People come to our fellowship from all over London. And in fact, some people also travel as far as Manchester and Bournemouth to come and join us when we meet monthly. And I'm also delighted to say that in November 2010, we're going to start another group in Manchester. And it's going to be a monthly group as well. And we're going to carry on and carry on. And I believe that it will get bigger and bigger. What is very key is that we continue to help people of all faith and of no faith on their journey to reconcile their sexuality with themselves and their God. Often when people talk about homosexuality, they often concentrate on the men. And in most society, for a man to be attracted to a man is considered a serious abomination, because men are supposed to be macho, supreme, superior, and so on. But often we miss out the women. There are same-gender loving women in the African society and more so in Nigeria. But unfortunately, the situation with women is actually more volatile than men, because often they're married off. Women in Nigeria are still seen as properties. First the property of their father, and then the property of their husband. So they don't have much control over their sexuality. And it's actually a lot more pain. There's a lot more pain if they appear masculine, butch, or whatever you want to call it. But of course, there are lesbian women of every genre. Those who look extremely effeminate and those who look masculine. But unfortunately, or I'll say fortunately, for women in Nigeria, they don't face extreme hostile situation or situation as men, because often they're able to navigate it. And in the Nigerian community, it's an extremely male chauvinistic society. So the idea of two women together is an extremely great pleasure to the Nigerian men, or indeed many African men. So there are challenges for women as well, gay women in Nigeria, as well as challenges for gay men in Nigeria. But my own take on it is that the challenges are actually lesser in terms of the brutality towards them. But I also believe that there are serious hardships as well, especially if they're going to be forced into a heterosexual marriage where they'll be extremely unhappy and expected to be the obedient wife. And this is because of the nature of the male superiority.